Hi everyone, this is Paul here from the Magdalene Centre. Today I'm doing the astrology report for the Lunar Eclipse in Leo, which takes place on the 21st of January at 5:15 AM Universal Time. I'm outlining some of the key lessons this Lunar Eclipse highlights along with some of the aspects to it, and I'll be giving an overview of what it means. Before I do that, I just want to clarify, as I always do, that the astrology doesn't control our lives. It's about understanding how do the planets influence the collective unconscious, what kind of lessons are there for us to be learning at this time, so we can move with the natural flow of events rather than trying to make things happen at the wrong kind of time. And it's trying to achieve that right timing through taking action when the opportunities are there for us to grow in certain areas and making maximum use of it, but it's also taking responsibility for our own lives, so not just what we do but also what we think and what we say. Now, in terms of the lunar eclipse in Leo, the main theme of it is all about our ability to receive love from other people and its ability to love ourselves, and it's understanding that because the sun is in Aquarius, which is all about that high level of understanding, that collective unconscious, so it's relating to people at the collective level, so recognising everything is interconnected. But for any growth to happen, it requires the individual parts, i.e. individuals, to work on becoming the best versions of themselves. So it's taking that spark, that divine spark within us, and taking personal responsibility to nurture it into a flame, so that creative fire that, when merged together with other people's, creates a powerful force of transformation. But that doesn't happen on its own accord. It requires each and every one of us to work on ourselves. Now, in order to tap into that creativity, we have to learn to love ourselves as we are, and we have to embrace our own individuality. So in order for us to be able to receive love of other people, we have to be able to see ourselves as worthy of love and belonging to begin with. So if for whatever reason we struggle to receive love, or we struggle to accept offers for assistance, then we need to work on this. This is the last eclipse related to the Leo Aquarius axis for another about 8 years or so. So this 6-month lesson will carry on unfolding up until July of this year, and it gives us an opportunity to work on our relationship with ourselves. Because in order to embrace our creativity, we have to believe it's there to begin with, and to do that, we have to love ourselves. And we also need to be able to receive love of other people when it's offered. So, because if we struggle to receive it, then we may act out of pride, as it were, but it's not the pride that we're more special than other people. It's more the kind of ego where we believe we're not good enough, and because of that we don't feel worthy of accepting offers of help from other people. But if we want to truly grow, we need to be able to accept that kind of love and help for the people, because none of us are an island. It's the whole no man is an island. We're all interconnected at one level or another, as Aquarius teaches us, but we also have to be able to accept love of other people when it's offered, and this requires a greater degree of vulnerability than offering help, because when we're offering help to other people, in some respects we're in control of that. But to receive that offer of love and assistance and love and support from other people, it is a lot more vulnerable, because we're opening ourselves up to the possibility the other person might hurt us. But if something is offered to us out of genuine love, then it should naturally strengthen us and bolster us up. So one of the things we need to be mindful of is, if someone offers help for us and we instinctively refuse it, is there a reason why we're doing that? Is it because we genuinely have it all together and we can do it ourselves, and we love ourselves enough that we already have the capacity to do the task? Or are we actually refusing help because yes, we need it, but we don't know how to accept it? Because if we're not able to love ourselves, then someone offering that love to us can feel quite scary, because it's opening ourselves up to something we don't understand, and we may misinterpret someone's genuinely loving offer as someone trying to gain control over us in some way. So one of the things that this eclipse asks us to be honest about is, are we comfortable receiving love of other people? If someone offers help because they have the necessary skills to help us and they can see that we're struggling on our own, are we able to be honest and humble enough to accept it? And are we able to receive it? It's because the thing is, if we struggle to love ourselves when other people are being creative, that can trigger insecurities within ourselves. So if someone's having the courage to try something new, and it's important that we pay close attention to how we respond to that. Are we able to celebrate that person's courage to pursue their dreams, or do we have a tendency to be kind of almost backbiting or drop sarcastic comments or try to undermine them because we feel insecure that that person's having the courage to do something that we're struggling to dare to do ourselves? So, but if we work through any of these insecurities and we get in touch with our creativity, then the key element of that is being able to receive love through learning to love ourselves. So taking time to connect with ourselves and to be honest about our relationship with oneself and seeking to transform it through learning to love ourselves, then that enables us to connect with our creativity, enables us to shine our own light brighter. And if we feel comfortable with receiving love and giving love unconditionally, and we're in touch with our own creativity and we embrace it wholeheartedly, then when someone else is being creative, it shouldn't really be a problem for us anymore. If anything, we see someone else who's also daring to be creative, then we feel more likely to try and support that person, to encourage them to shine brighter, to keep going, to maintain the faith, to maintain the motivation to keep going in the face of any kind of difficulties it may be encountering. And if we're all doing this, we're all working through our own hang-ups, our own fears of whether we're worthy of love, and any fears about whether it's right, we have the right to be creative. We all have that creative energy within us, but if we don't consciously acknowledge it, then either it will be someone else will gets to do something, will utilise our creative energy for their benefit, or we get all snappy and sarcastic with the people who are down to be creative and they're showing us what we could potentially be doing, but we don't do it out of fear. So it's learning to be in a place where the love is stronger than the fear, and being able to be open to receiving love that's freely offered from other people and accepting help when we actually need it. It doesn't mean that we allow ourselves to become dependent on the other person, but if someone's can genuinely help us out when we're stuck at some point, and that person's motivations are pure and it's based purely on it's purely based on love and a desire to help us out of a rut, and then obviously they will most likely back off again once we're in a position to deal with things ourselves, then it's accepting that help, and if any fears or insecurities come up, address them and make sure that we are able to receive that love from other people and then freely give it back as well. Now, in terms of the aspects to this lunar eclipse, there aren't that many, but two of them linked, and that's Chiron is in Pisces at the moment, but it's a weak kind of sextile with the sun having recently moved into Aquarius, and then we have Uranus square to the sun and moon, and obviously Chiron is trine to the moon. So this is highlighting, because the ruler of this particular eclipse is the sun, so obviously the sun's in Aquarius, so that's particularly emphasising the Aquarian aspect to it, but Chiron in Pisces is highlighting to us the wounds of disconnection. Chiron's not going to be in Pisces much longer. He's changing sign on the 18th of February and will not return to Pisces again for about 44 years. So this is the last kind of wrap up and an opportunity to be honest with ourselves about where do we have wounds of disconnection that cause us to try and gain connection through substitute methods, whether that be through alcohol, whether it be through drugs, whether it be through escapism tendencies like excessive sleeping, comfort eating, whether it's codependent relationships. So because we don't have that, we've cut ourselves off from that unconditional love that's always there. we then end up trying to manipulate other people to get that kind of love. So we end up with codependent relationships as a result, which are deeply unhealthy. But if we can acknowledge these issues and recognise where we're cutting ourselves off from that love, and open ourselves up to receiving that unconditional love, first giving unconditional love and compassion to ourselves, and then raging it to other people, so that it's radiating from a wellspring rather than a bucket, if you like. So it's not a finite amount of love and compassion, it's a constantly flowing stream of it, because we've gotten rid of the blockages between ourselves and that unconditional love and that connection to source that allows us to help people without being drained. And if we can radiate that kind of unconditional love and compassion, it invites other people to take that same step. But at the same time, it's important that we don't try and push people to do something they're not ready to do. We don't preach it to other people. We embody that kind of energy. Because through embodiment, we can teach people the best, because we're a living example of it, rather than just someone sharing intellectual ideas but not really showing it in their own lives. And with the square to Uranus, which is the rule of the sign the Sun is in, this is a time for Uranus square to the Sun is about overcoming any challenges we have, to allowing our sense of identity to be changed by insights coming in from the higher mind. Because Aquarius is the higher mind and Uranus is the rule of Aquarius. Uranus is about awakening ourselves to the deeper dimensions of ourselves. It's about moving beyond just the sense of identity born out of societal conditioning, and it's going much deeper, stripping away the conditioning until we're faced with the true self that's stripped away of the conditioning that creates barriers between ourselves and others, and allows us to see everything is interconnected. With it being in Aries at the moment, it's also about awakening the I am, if you like. So it's challenging our sense of self-identity through highlighting where we've got a limited understanding of who we are. So it's paying close attention to what words we usually say after the words I am, because I am is an identity statement. Anything we say after that has immense power over our perception of ourselves, and Uranus for the past few years has been trying to highlight this to us. What words do we say? Are they empowering or are they limiting? And it's achieving this high level of understanding, of recognising that we're part of the collective whole, but for anything to change we have to embrace that change and embody it ourselves, because every change is one of the true constants in life. It's always happening, we can't stop it. But if we can recognise what changes we need to make in our lives so we can be the best versions of ourselves possible, and to be a living embodiment of whatever we believe in and whatever vision we're seeking to manifest, and if we then share this within the groups that we're part of, and seek to do things in a way that boosts the strengths of the group through being the best versions of ourselves, because when we all work on when we work on becoming the best versions of ourselves, everyone else benefits through now dealing with a stronger version of ourselves that's more capable, more empowered, more confident, and more open to giving and receiving love. Because when we work on ourselves, the whole benefits, because the whole doesn't change if the parts don't change. So if we want the collective consciousness, or if we want the welfare of humanity as a whole to improve, then we have to take responsibility for improving ourselves to become the strongest version of ourselves possible, that's aligned with truth and love, and seeking to impart a vision that will benefit the collective whole and will make sure the individual strengths and differences between different people are honoured, so each person is given the freedom to be who they are, but working together as a group towards common aims that allow each member to become stronger, to develop greater capacities, and develop a sense of unity spirit in the groups. And this carries on, or this spirit of unity then becomes a model to push changes in other areas, as it were. But if we're not able to achieve unity within our own individual groups, we can't really preach about it to other people. So we're responsible for being the best versions of ourselves, and then bringing that into the groups that we're part of, and seeking to apply the gifts and skills we have and the wisdom we've attained through pursuing our own goals to benefit the group and achieve a synergy that can only be achieved when at least 2 or 3 people come together to share their energies and pursue a common goal, united by a higher vision and based on empowerment rather than control or a desire to elevate ourselves at the expense of other people. So I hope this is useful guide for the lunar eclipse. The main thing to remember of it is it's highlighting where we need to learn to accept love if we struggle with that, and to get in touch with our own creative spirit. And it's about learning to give and receive love equally, of nurturing our own creative ability, and recognising that for the health of the whole to transform, we have to learn to become the best versions of ourselves, i.e. take that spark of creativity and turn it into a stable flame, which then adds warmth and greater creativity and greater emotional connection with one another, and greater desire to support one another in each person's individual gifts and abilities, but working towards common aims rather than just working on ourselves whilst ignoring the needs of other people. So may the lunar eclipse bring you many insights and many blessings. Take care and be blessed.